Hello and welcome back to the Write Your Path podcast. My name is Lolly Spindler. I'm a writer, editor, book doula, and writing coach. And today on the podcast, I have my dear friend Blue, who I met here, I want to say like 2 or 3 years ago in Mexico City. And we've been friends ever since. And she's also an incredible entrepreneur and has an incredible Shibari project called Shibari Mexico here in Mexico City. And so I wanted to bring her on and learn more about her path and how she got here. So welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up sitting here with me today in Mexico City.
Right, long story.
That's great. We want it all. We want it all.
Yeah, of course. So basically, I run one of the biggest groups in Mexico City for the kink community. And the main focus is Shibari and learning things about basic concepts of what BDSM is, consent, and different type of dynamics that you can be involved in. And that basically started off as me having my own personal interests. So I've been involved in the BDSM community for probably more than 10 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if I do the math. Yeah, I was youngster.
She knew what she wanted.
Right. And I honestly was just doing it on my own, and it became a hobby. But I think because I grew up with mixed cultures, I had a different viewpoint of my own eroticism, sexuality, sensuality. And so I was very comfortable sharing these cool things that I was doing and like what I was excited about with the people in my circle and my friends, and people would start to approach me, and I was just very open about what I was doing. And then when I got more involved with Shibari itself, I kind of left the BDSM generalization of it and specialized more in that because it spoke to me as something way more profound and it involved as like one specific thing. There's just so much within that one world. Yep. And it spoke to me. I've always been a creator and a doer, and so like touching and making and creating and the technique and everything just really spoke to me. And so I really kind of dove head in first to that world. And that's what people were more attracted to, because at that moment in my life, I was living in Asia and coming back and forth to see my family in Mexico. And the cultural differences are so extreme when it comes to sensuality, sexuality, and eroticism in those two different countries. And so me speaking out and being vocal about these things in a very casual way was something that people were kind of like, oh my gosh, what is that? Yeah. And so slowly this hobby that I had started becoming then a hobby that I was sharing, and then a hobby that people were like, oh, could you teach me, or could you give me a class? Yeah. And so at that point I was more of like, I only know this and I can show you that, and I'm also learning. But then it got to be this whole other bigger thing where people were like asking to pay me for working and like doing workshops, and it wasn't just like a creative project anymore. And it was something each time I became more connected with myself. And it's something you can share with someone, but I was doing a lot with myself. So like self-tying and things like that. And then once it kind of got out of control, I was like, okay, I need to like have a conversation with myself and like formalize this. Yeah. And I went back to school. And yeah, I went back and I joined part of a master's program of psychologists. And so they had like a module of a year that dealt with kink and BDSM.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and the psychology behind it. And I applied to only take the module of that because I was thinking like, how can I get this information without going back to school and studying something that I'm not interested in and spending a ton of money that like I really don't want to invest. Yeah. And I like don't really love the traditional
I feel that
school system.
Yeah.
And so I was like, how can I skip this process of like a ton of money and a ton of time? And so I just applied and like wrote them an email saying like, hey, I have this much experience. I've been in this for this many years. I'm very interested in just taking this part. And they agreed and they opened it up. And so I began this year-long course where all we talked about was the psychology behind kink and BDSM.
That is so cool.
It was amazing. And honestly, as someone who experiences a lot of the things that were talked about, I also didn't experience a lot of the other things. That there's no way I would have a lived experience. Yeah. They talked about like different types of like sexualities, different types of genders, and like different types of just personality types and people with different types of disabilities and things like that, where you can kind of assume, but having the actual research and having something that you can quantify and explain to yourself and share with others that's backed by science was like mind-blowing. And also there isn't a lot of research. I mean, back then that was like probably 5 or 6 years ago, but there wasn't a lot of research or funding that goes into these things that have to do with like sex and then taboo and then all these other types of areas that a lot of people don't really want to spend money on. But there was a lot of great information, and I was just mind blown. Like, that's mind blown. Awesome. And a lot of
Where was this?
It was online.
Oh, it was online.
Yeah, it was online.
Oh, what was it? University, or is it just through
It was there was people from different universities.
Okay.
And it was like a certified institute.
Oh, okay.
And so you could come from any type of program, which was cool because, I mean, therapists,
that's true.
Even in my own experience, I've stopped going or started going to therapists because either I was having to explain what things were, or they just had no idea. And so now it's just like
You're being like an educator.
Yeah, during my time.
It's like, you're supposed to be helping me.
Not ideal. And I'd be like, wow, that's so interesting. I'm like, yeah, but help me. So that was just like so great. And honestly, a lot of the things that I thought, well, not a lot, but there was a few big things that I thought of in the program where it made a lot more sense based off of the research than based off of like the basic thinking that we can kind of assume that's why XYZ happened. Yeah. And so that happened, and that really helped me kind of like level up because I had all of this information, but it was my own information from lived experiences. Now I'm adding it to like, okay, this is why though, or now I understand this in a deeper way and not just my perspective, because I'm just one person and my perspective is very limited, and I come from a place of, like, I'm white, I speak different languages, I grew up in a middle class family. It doesn't translate to all types of people. And so that really helps propel and like solidify the next step that I was going to take of creating a community. And so at first it was creating a community, and now I had like all these other things besides the technical things of this is how you tie someone and respect them. And, now I had all these other softer skills, I guess you could say, adding to the harder skills. And it was really cool because I was invited to speak on panels, and I really focused on consent education, and I really focused on, the safety practices, because when I moved back to Mexico, it was something that I saw was lacking in the community, because a lot of the spaces were run by cis-het men, and there wasn't a lot of online education at that time, and it was just really easy to take control of situations and set a standard that maybe wasn't the best standard or not give all the information. So it was really cool because then that's kind of how my business bloomed, of just having a focus and a stance. And I did study in a business school, so I graduated with a business degree, and that helped a lot when it came into the thinking of how do I make something that people do and feel into a stable business or platform that can grow. Because it is a taboo, very niche area. And so that really helped me a lot, and that was like one of the main foundations. And because of that, I connected with different types of people. I had different types of teachers, and it allowed me different types of opportunities. And that's something that really helps grow and expand the community, because a lot of the times I think when we look for providers of any sort, we look for references. We can Google them. We can see like what the reviews are. In this world, unless you're kind of already with your toes in the water or you're already there, it's really hard to start, and it's really hard to find someone and trust them. Maybe you can trust them based off of their social media or their image, but you don't really know how they are in terms of like a good actor or a bad actor once you're already like in the experience. And so a lot of this world is based off of references, but how do you get those references if you're not in that? And so like having an online platform, having references on my website of previous people, it created this foundation of trust and stability for people trying out the first time. Yeah. Which I felt was really important because that's something that I didn't have at all 10 years ago. Like it was so dangerous. I put myself in so many situations because a lot of people have them as hobbies and personal projects and they don't have a huge presence, because creating that presence means that's going to be your identity. Yeah. And that's kind of scary. Yeah. But I really liked it. And I was like, that's okay. Everyone can think I'm a freak because I am.
You're like, I'm glad to take this on.
Yeah. And, now in taking that leap and sitting here talking to you now I'm doing a lot more admin and a lot more programming on my website and a lot more event planning and emails and event organization than actual time. That I like to, and I think that happens to a lot of creators and artists when their business succeeds. Yeah,
right? It's like, even if it's a fun business, it's still a business at the end of the day,
Exactly.
Yeah, but I love that you took something that was such like a passion project for you and you made it into something that sustains you in your lifestyle. Like, I think that's very admirable. So I just want to say congrats.
Thank you. It was really hard actually, because it's like, do I want to go 100% in that direction? It's a challenging decision because you have to come out to your family. You have to come out to your environment, and it becomes like, oh, you're that person. And it's not like, oh, you're that really great dentist or you're that awesome painter. It's like, oh, you're that girl who does freaky shit and ties people up. And
you're like, yes.
Yeah. And it was hard because for so long I was juggling a corporate type job, or there's a moment when I did freelancing and then doing this on the side, and I really felt like I had to cut myself in half and disassociate and be two different people and make up secrets and hide things from my family. And until one time I had a conversation with someone what would happen if you actually tried? What would happen if you actually, because there's so much uncertainty. Because will people feel aligned with this? Will people want to come take a class? Will people want to come learn with me? Because my business is a luxury goods business. When the economy goes down, people don't think oh, that's something I really need. It's a necessity. It's not food. It's not water. It's being able to explore your sexuality and your eroticism, even just to have the moment to think about and question yourself, is a privilege.
100%.
And so that was a really scary thing.
So what was it that made you take that leap? Did you get to a point where you were, working a full-time job or freelancing and you were like, I can't do this anymore? Like you said, you were kind of split identities where you're just I can't maintain this anymore. What was that moment where you're like, I want to dedicate 100% of myself to this project?
I hated my job, but I loved the money.
Yeah.
I mean, I was waking up so early and I was putting in a lot of effort, and then I was doing this other thing where people were just like, oh, I'll pay you for this thing that you do. And I'm really good at it and I would love to be better at it, but to be honest, I was like, why does that seem so easy? Why does that feel so good? And I think for me, at the end of the day, it was how do I feel doing it? How do I feel after I work this job versus how do I feel after I give a class or I tie someone and someone comes up to me and saying wow, that really changed my relationship with my partner, or wow, I've been questioning myself for so long. And over the years that I've done this, there's been countless people who have come up to me and be like, wow, you changed my life. And for me, that's really, I don't know, I feel imposter syndrome-y, because I'm what do you mean? That's a big deal. But if I think about my own journey and how the person who introduced me to this world, I never thought I would be working in this. They changed my life 100%. So I understand the sentiment, but for me, it's still hard to receive that, of that type of impact, but it feels good. It feels good. I just don't know how to react to that yet. And I don't think you really have to, but it is nice, like, as I've been doing this for so many years, to see people grow, to see people feel more aligned with themselves, feel more authentic, to see people like have fun, or to change their perspective of what they thought the kink community was versus like what it actually is.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. And so most of it was like, how do I feel about this? I mean, I love having money, don't get me wrong. But I think if I didn't make that step or change that, I wouldn't know I wouldn't know probably any of the amazing people I know in my life. Like, so creative, intelligent, makers, entrepreneurs, people of all walks of life. I've been able to travel so much with this and just like really connect with an immense amount and like a surprising amount of very different, very unique personalities.
Yeah.
And I think when I compare it back to what my work environment was before, it was awful.
Yeah.
It was really bad. I used to work in an area that's hugely male dominated. And I was just sitting on the computer all day, and, you know, I don't know, I just felt like even my lifestyle wasn't enriching because I'd be at work all day, and then what would I do after work? I would like, feel exhausted. Well, I should enjoy my weekend, and so I'd go from 0 to 100 and feel awful on Monday, and it just wasn't like a healthy lifestyle for me mentally.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can always, I think, generate income if you really like are creative and you're okay with failing and you want to try different things. Like my business was not super successful when it started.
Yeah.
And that took a while.
Yeah, it takes some time.
Yeah, it takes a while. It takes some time.
It's like trial and error. Like what is sticking, what is not.
Yes, exactly. And so I think it was mostly that. And honestly, the comment from that person, it upset me. It made me really mad. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm giving it my all. And I took it as like, oh, you're not like living up to your potential. You're not like giving it 100%. And I love a challenge. I love
like, I'll show you.
Yeah, I love being bullied consensually. So in my brain, it like triggered me, and I was like, I'm gonna show you. And I did.
Yeah.
And I did. Yeah.
That's amazing. Are you still in touch with that person or no?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of my ex-partners.
Okay, amazing. So I'm glad they're seeing you succeed now.
Oh, 100%. 100%. It's so crazy because even now, we have like a pretty good friendship, and we'll like reach out and be like, oh, can I get ropes from you? Or like, and I think it's really cool because never in 1,000 years would I thought that would be like a conversation I'd be having in the future.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah.
So how have you seen your business kind of grow? So when was it that this turned from like a passion project to a business? And then what are like, take us through kind of some of the stages. Cause I know now like you finally have a physical space. So kind of, and I also know like community building was like a huge part of it. So kind of take us through like how it's kind of evolved over the years.
Okay, it's evolved a lot. A ton. At first it was kind of like, okay, I'm going to set this up. I'm going to do workshops and like talk about it. And so a lot of it at the beginning was I would meet someone, they would have a space, and I'd say like, oh, like I do this, can we have a workshop here? And so you kind of triangulate, you know, there's the space, and then there's the people who come and they learn and they take the class. And that was really cool, but it's really challenging in a business type of way in terms of times, in terms of finances, in terms of limitations, in terms of like what the space offers, how much room do you have, what you are and aren't allowed to do, if they have points where you can hang people from, or is it just going to be on the floor, is it private, you know, things like that, is it comfortable? Because there was a lot of spaces that wanted to have me. I was like, if I was someone coming to this, like I would not want it. This doesn't feel cozy. Yeah. And that's kind of the vibe we're going for.
Yeah. Inviting at least.
Inviting, clean. Because what my big issue was in this kink space is I wanted it to be very, very far from what the taboo is of red and black dungeon and leather and like dirty and grimy, and you have to be someone who's really hardcore and like tons of tattoos. Like there is a stereotype, and
Yeah.
it's so easy to play into that stereotype, and a lot of people do it because it's so easy.
Yeah.
But that's not really the thing that's important to me. The thing that's important to me is how you feel.
Yeah.
It's what you're learning, and I want you to feel comfortable. I want you to feel safe coming to a place like this, because I understand what it's like to explore yourself and be like, oh, like, I don't know, like, it kind of feels weird, or I've never told anyone this, or like, I'm gonna check it out and just see, I'm curious, and then okay, there's that, and then okay, the step of you actually buying the ticket, you're like, okay, well, now I'm gonna go to this, and then you get the address, and it's like, I don't know where I'm going, I don't know who's gonna be there, and then you get outside the door, and you're like, what's it gonna be like in there? Like, am I safe? Like, this workshop's about tying people up. Like, is it dangerous that I'm here alone? There's all these things that can go through your head as like a new person taking this leap of exploration.
Yeah.
And I want to make that like the most easiest, comfortable thing as possible, because it is scary. Yeah. It's so scary to like deconstruct yourself and be like, oh, I am also a freak, like, in the best way, you know? And so that was really tough, because then you have to like coordinate things. And I didn't have my own physical space that was set up for sharing. I mean, I had my own space that had like a point for suspensions, and that's when people are like in the air, but not for many people. And it was also like my own space. And a lot of the times it's really hard to have a location understand that what you're doing is not like porn, or it's not going to be like raunchy and gross. And it's like, actually, like, we're way more subdued, and we make way less mess than like a painting class. Yeah, it's true. You know, like a drink and sip is like that's way crazier. That's true. That's true. Yeah. It's like paint and mezcal flying everywhere. Yeah, and it's hard to explain to people. I mean, you can do the best you can, but the preconceptions are so strong. Yeah. To unlearn those and have people really get it, it's difficult. And so that I was doing that for a while, and community building was a huge thing. And so I would host like mixers at places where it's more of a vanilla thing. So there's no tying, you don't even have to like talk about what you like in the kink space. It's more like, oh, cool, like, what are your hobbies? Just to connect people with other people who are also interested in the same thing. It's like going to a book club, basically, where you're like reading. A munch, right? Yeah, is what you're talking about? It's called a munch. And so you're basically for the people who don't know, we'll do some basic vocab. So community-based things. And then that I was doing that for a long time, long time. And then I started, it would happen more frequently, you know, and I would have like month-long intensives and things like that because I've developed good relationships with venues and things like that sort. But then I moved to Mexico City, and oh my God, it was disastrous. Wow. It was disastrous because space here is so precious. And venues here, there's so many workshops and things going on. Everyone charges like a ton. I had this one space like reach out to me and they want to charge me, and then want to take 30%, but there's no Wi-Fi, no water. We couldn't use the bathrooms. Like, what is this? What? It's crazy. Like, are we paying in a bucket? Am I paying you to pee in a bucket, essentially? Yeah, I mean, obviously I didn't agree to that, but it was kind of like starting all over again and creating new relationships. Yeah. Where were you before you moved here? Querétaro. Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. Querétaro, and then I lived in Yucatan for a little bit, and before that I was in Asia, and before that I was in the US. And so it kind of, all of this is kind of like growing and evolving, but I'm also moving around a lot. Yeah. And so it's cute, because then I would like leave the community and be like, all right, like I'll be back and check on you guys, like make friends, and it's cool to see them like keeping it alive. Oh, I love that. But in Mexico City, it was like a whole nother monster, and so it was a lot slower. And so here I was doing a lot more like performances and podcasts and demos and more things in the creative space. I would still do my workshops, but it's just the venues, it was challenging. And so what I was doing a lot here was like private sessions where people would come, and you could even do like a one-on-one where you take a class, or a one-on-one where you get to be tied by me and like experience what it's like, and I guide you through the process. And which I have done and highly recommend. Yeah. And it was really great. It was really great in that sense because I think because I had such a huge focus on community and connecting other people, like, oh my gosh, I know this person does this. Like, that would be really cool if you guys did a collaboration together, like outside of the kink space, you know, because you meet a ton of people like, oh, well, that would be good with that. And because it was so community based, my community like really came through. And a bunch of times like, oh, I went to this really cool space and I said, you know, gave you a reference, and then we would do like an event there.
That's awesome.
It was really great. And then finally I moved into a larger space where I could actually set up my own suspension structure. And it was big enough where I could host like intimate classes. And I did that for a long time, in a couple of years. And it was great because you would come into a nice place. It's basically like my home. And you meet all these other people. And so it was really friendly. And that was working really great for so long, but we did get to a point where there were so many of us and every class would be booked, and every class people would message me all the time like, oh, can you make space? I'm like, I really can't, because like,
yeah, just like physically can't fit more
right
bodies.
And when you're doing things in your time, you do need a certain amount of space. It's not like you have like a paint and sip again, like you have a chair and you're sitting in the chair, like there's movement, and I want people to feel comfortable and not feel like I'm just like crowding them in like sardines for money, because that's not what it's about.
Once again, it's about the experience and how you want to make people feel.
Because there are places like that where you're like, oh my gosh, there's no way this is happening. And
you're like, where do I go?
Yeah, and I honestly felt really bad that I would have to say no to people who wanted to learn, because I do understand that not everyone can make it work with their work schedules. Maybe this was the only date they could try, or not everyone can align their schedule with their partner. So this was a date night or their birthday, and I would get like all these reasons, and it would break my heart to be like, I really can't.
You're
I'm
like,
sorry.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I need a space.
Yeah.
I need a space that's bigger than this, and it's dedicated to what we do in the community. So I don't have to say no to people anymore. And if I do say no, it's because there's way too many of us.
Yeah.
And that was on my mind for a long time, and I tried it last year, and it went so south. It went so south.
That's not meant to be.
Yeah.
The universe is like, not yet.
Yeah, it ended up being like a scam with the building, and I took it as that sign, like, okay, maybe it's not the right time. And then this year it happened magically. Like,
wow.
The complete opposite experience. Like, it was almost...
It's like, here you go.
Yeah, it's almost too good to be true after the last experience. And it's been great. It's been great because I have a dedicated space for the community and for the workshops, and it's not just my space. So people can go and practice, and I don't have to be there. People, if they have like a separate performance or something they're preparing for, like they can go and use the installations.
That's amazing.
Because a lot of the times people still live with their family, or they're in a certain type of dynamic with their partner. Maybe that partner isn't their tying partner, or they don't have the equipment they need at their house, or their house, they can't install anything. And you come to this space and I have everything. Yeah. And so that's been such a dream. And it's been really magical, and it's been a dream for a very long time. Yay. And hopefully in the future we'll move into a bigger space, because now that I have this space, I'm like, oh, maybe we should get a bigger one.
Like, now I want more.
Yeah, it's just, it is a practice where you do need room. Yeah. For several people, but it's been honestly great. So it was mostly kind of just started out from like baby steps and doing what we can. Yeah. Every step of the way. Every step of the way. And then with that, like the learning curve of, the business. Like, okay, how do I do like a payment processor? How do people book? And I don't want to give them like my personal phone number, because what if I don't respond in time? And things like that of the business side.
Yeah, the admin. Yeah.
It's all happening like at the same time. And every step of the way I was like, wow, I can't believe it took me so long to do that. I really needed this.
Yeah, right. And it's like you build things up in your mind that you think are going to take so long, and then you do it. You're like, oh my God, I spent 5 months thinking about it, and it took me like 5 minutes to actually do.
Yeah, and for me, it was more of how am I going to do it? Because I do everything by myself. I do the website, I do the event planning, the organization, reaching out to the venues, the performances, the trainings that I have one-on-one with people to like perform with me, the relationships that you have to create with people to tie frequently in a dynamic. It's like having a partner.
Yeah.
And how do you take care of those while running your business?
Yeah.
Like that's part of like something that, you know, aligns with what you can create together and just everything. And then people, you also connect really great with people. So then people also come to you for like personal things and you're like, oh my God, I'm one person.
Yeah, right. You're like, solopreneur life.
And ADHD does not help, but I think it does sometimes. You know? Because I always bite off more than I can chew and have 1,000 things going at once. But then I'm like, oh, I have to finish that like today.
Yeah.
And so I feel like sometimes I feel like it'd be great to have an assistant, but then another time I was like, but they don't get it. Like, how could they understand what's going on in my brain? Like, how can I explain this to someone?
Yeah, it's just like the processes, right? Eventually, hopefully you'll have your processes down that you can just pass them along to someone
100%.
else. Yeah.
So it's been like a huge personal learning curve as well.
Yeah, I honestly think building and growing a business is one of the biggest growth opportunities we have in life. Like spiritually, emotionally, mentally, like physically, like in all ways.
100%. Like I personally like stopped, you know, dating or having like intense partnerships because I didn't have time for it. I didn't have time because it's like, okay, well, I have this event and I have to pre-do things that and prep, and then I have this other thing, and then I have to organize this and I have to tie this. I'm like, I don't really have that much time for myself, and when I do have it, I'm not going to spend it like trying to get to know another person.
You're going to get 2 massages in a day.
Exactly. And so it's been my relationship.
Yeah, I can definitely. I mean, I see my businesses as like my babies. Like those are my children, you know? So it's like, I'd rather spend time with them. They're so cute and fun, and I can do like keep creating new offers, kind of like you do with your workshops and your events. I think that's one of the most like liberating things we get to do as entrepreneurs is like we have an idea and then we get to see that idea become an actual thing in reality.
Oh, it's so crazy. Like when I do my planning for my workshops, I'm like, what do I feel like doing? And I'm like, what if I not haven't done one? I'm like, I can also invent this thing.
Yeah.
And see how it goes. And it to the other person on the other side is like, oh, like this program and like these methods. And I was like, no, I just felt like watching people learn to suspend this month. And so I did the suspension course.
Yeah. Like, this is what I wanted to do.
Exactly. Yeah. And it is really crazy because if I look back on younger version of me when I like had this hobby or this vision or this dream and I was going to take the step, and I look at the version of me now where I have processes and I have like a team that helps me with certain things, and I have my own space, and I have all these like friends and connections within the community, and like I've been invited to do like all these amazing events and speak on these panels. I'm like, who is she? Like, we love her.
They're like, baby, you're so proud of you.
100%. And it's interesting because being in a creative space, you're surrounded by other people, at least with similar interests. But I think a lot of the time the people who come through the door are also people who are creative or have a like-minded way of thinking. And so you make really cool connections. And sometimes you end up doing interesting collaborations that you would have never thought.
Yeah. Actually, my word for this year is partnerships. So I'm exactly like in that mindset of like doing like cool events and stuff that I normally wouldn't do on my own, but somebody's like, hey, we should do this together. And I'm like, hell yeah. I'm just like saying yes to all partnerships this year.
Oh, well, so, see what I want to ask you to do.
I'm excited.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see the community events grow. And sometimes I look at them and I'm like, wow, there's so many of us, and I know all of you, and it's honestly a dream come true because when I was in this process, I was by myself.
Yeah.
And trying to find things online and researching the 3 people in Mexico City who did what I did, and I just honestly, like, it's really, really amazing. And it's not like my goal to be the best at what I do, because I feel like that's really challenging, especially in this world, because there's all these like people who want to be the best and tour and travel and they're so very skilled and they have a lot more time under their belt and a lot more access to education and things like that. But someone once told me, you know, that's okay. You can just be the best at explaining. And I was like, that's exactly what I am. It's I want to be the best at showing you how to do it too.
Yeah.
Of not gatekeeping the information, of, you know, like sharing the knowledge, of allowing you to have your own experience.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of the times, like, people who are really great at what they do doesn't make them a great teacher.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I think what you're really good at is like creating that safe space. And also creating that community, because like I recently just went to one of your events, which was amazing. It was Shibari and stand up, and it was like a fundraiser for people who like couldn't afford your workshops. And I thought that was really beautiful. But like seeing the community too, like everybody was participating and like having fun and like really engaged. And so I just like want to reflect that back to you, that like you have created like a really safe space, not only just to learn, like if it's in like a more like structured workshop environment, but also to just like play and explore, like if with one of your events.
100%. Like one of my processes of thinking throughout like my own self-questioning was, we are just playing. It's like literally there are words that you describe in the community, like a session or play or toys, like literally those are the same words. And like, we are just playing. We are adults that have just a lot cooler toys.
Yeah. So true.
And it's so interesting because I remember myself when I was little, and I was always tinkering with things with my hand. I was always dipping my finger into the melted candle. I was always like playing like cops and robbers and like tying people up and like, as kids, like that's so normal, but as adults, like if I put on that outfit and I'll also want to tackle you and tie you up, now it's kinky.
Yeah, right.
You know? And a lot of the things are very like soft and friendly that do translate to this world, and some of it can be very intense, both physically and visually. But we are just playing, like at the end of the game, or at the end of the day, it's just a game. Yeah. And it is a certain type of theater.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
And
so I feel like that's why there's like a direct pipeline from like a musical theater nerd to like a community.
Yeah.
I'm totally one of those kids.
100%. And so the people who do come are people who have had some type of conversation with themselves about their wants, their needs, their desires, what they're curious about, how they feel emotionally, physically, and how they want to share that. Some people are players who are really intense. Some people are players who are really like playful and like hee hee ha ha. Some people are players who are really artistic and elegant, and it's more of like about the visuals. Everyone has like a space here. Yeah. But the type of personalities that you see in these spaces are personalities that do have those traits of playfulness, of being interacting, of not so much socially it can be very varied. You know, there are a lot of introverts in the community because it is a way of expression without words, so that's really cool. But there are a lot of people who are extroverts as well, who usually those are people that you saw on stage. You know, like, oh, I'll do a performance.
I love it. And I also find, like, when people ask me what Shibari is and like why I like it, for me it's also like a mental exercise. For me, like, since I was little, I've been like a perfectionist and had a thing with control. And so for me, it's been a really good practice in like the release of control and being like, I am like giving up like the reins to you. So for me, it's been like really transformational as like a mental, physical practice as well. So there's like so many different ways to like see it and get into it. And so I think it's exactly what you said, like the community is so varied and so interesting because everybody is kind of playing it because of expression, but also maybe they're like working on themselves or working through something. And so it's, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I'm like losing my English now. It's not transformative. It's like when you release something, it's cathartic. There we go. I was like, I know you don't know the word I'm looking for.
The hands.
I was like, you know, it's coming out.
Yeah. I think it depends. I think it depends on, because you can choose, right?
Yeah.
You can choose what type of player you want to be. So, for example, I identify as someone who switches, who does both the doing and the receiving of not all but most things. And specifically with rope, with Shibari, it is insanely technical.
Yeah.
Insanely technical. You have to know and learn so many things, which is why there is a very specific personality that is drawn to doing the tying, which is the person is called the rigger, because you have to be on top of it, because it is still bondage, it is still BDSM, so there is a ton of risk. We want to mitigate that risk with all the things that we know and do it in the correct way. But that person has to be able to want to learn it, to understand the concepts, remember it, and apply it correctly. And it's cool because a lot of people who are in the community are highly intelligent. I mean, people where I don't know a lot about a lot of people's vanilla lives, but there are some people that we do have that relationship and we share. And a lot of people in the community are engineers, architects, doctors, creators, programmers, all types of people who have like high thinking jobs or enjoy a mental challenge.
Yeah.
Because there is it is a challenge. And then what happens when you do the thing, it's like, oh my gosh, like I did that. It's like the huge dopamine reward of like, yes, I did it. And the other player, the person who receives, which can be called a variety of things, of rope bottom, bunny, even submissive if you have that dynamic, that person goes through the exercise of kind of what you described of trust, releasing control, and being very, very in tune somatically with how they're feeling. Not so much in the sense of, wow, so amazing, it felt delicious. That happens, but more in a sense of, what am I feeling and how can I communicate that for my own safety? Or for the person who's tying me to have this feedback of my experience if we need to change something. And so it's like, it's a very symbiotic relationship. And everyone has a really hard thing to do, but in different aspects.
And I think especially for people who struggle with making and maintaining boundaries, Shibari, I mean, the kink community in general, is great for that, because it's like you actively have to put your boundaries and reinforce them continuously throughout any session. And so if that is something you're struggling with, I highly recommend you like think about this as a practice, because it is like, and you do a great job of teaching this too, of like not just consent, but also like checking in and like being like, yes to this, no to this, but and so I think that's really important too, is like, it's not just about the physical, mental challenges. It's also about those emotional check-ins and communication, which are like, I mean, the most important skills for humans anyways. But if you want to talk to that a little bit.
100%. Because, so what I said previously about like the types of people who are in the community who are very intelligent, that's something that I learned when I took that course, that intensive for a year that I told you about. Some of the research they had on that was insane about the level of education. Another thing that they had in terms of those types of research was the types of communication. That in general, people who are in the kink community have an insanely higher level of communication than people in the outside vanilla world as entry level. Because to even be in a conversation, to even do anything, you have to be able to express a need, a desire, a boundary, a limit. And how do you communicate to that or communicate that to someone? Well, you need to have to have thought about that prior. And you needed to have to, do some thinking. Participating in this space is it's like a self exploration. Like you really have to get to know yourself before you can share any of that with another person. I mean, you don't have to. It's highly recommended because you'll have a pretty bad time if you don't. but you'll have a pretty great time
if you do. Yeah.
If you do. And I think a lot of that has to do with these learned skills. Like, you can train yourself to communicate better, but it's a little bit challenging, I feel, to practice that in the vanilla world, because not everyone, but a lot of people in the vanilla world are not used to direct communication. There's a lot of, how do you say that in English?
You're using your English.
Yeah.
Maybe I can help with this one.
My wires are crossed. But there's not a lot of positive feedback when you state a limit. There's a lot of, like, for example, when people are crying, right?
I just posted about this yesterday. That's so
Did
funny.
you really?
Yeah.
Wow. When people are crying, it's like, no, don't cry. Like, it's okay. It's okay. We're like, actually, I'm not okay. And I need to cry. Like, physically, my body needs to cry. They say that because it's uncomfortable for people to see you cry. Your emotion is uncomfortable for people. It's uncomfortable for them to see you in a bad spot. Or to see you in expressing it. And it's really interesting, these types of societal reactions that we have to very specific things that are the norm, I guess you say, but sometimes aren't the best, or they're actually very non-consensual. And otherwise, it's like it's hard to practice these limits things if you want to behave or be nice at work, or have a good relationship with XYZ person that you really don't like, but you want to be cordial, and I think having the space to practice it's here. Because here you say no to someone and they say, okay, thank you. Because it's just information, it's not personal. You say no to someone in the real world, like, you can invite me to your barbecue, and I was like, oh no, come on, why? And like, now I feel forced to explain myself, and people get uncomfortable, so you end up like either lying, or you end up saying yes when you really don't want to, and then you don't go anyway, but then you said yes, so then that person is like, well, you didn't show up to my barbecue, and it just becomes like this whole weird vicious cycle of feeling weird and like not having proper communication. Whereas in the kink spaces, you say no, and they're like, okay, great, thank you. And so in your brain, like, there's an actual neurochemical reaction that happens where your no was respected, and then they were thankful to you and gave you like gratitude for letting you know that information. And so you're like, what? Okay. And so now that's the first instance of you feeling different when you say no. And then you do it again, like, okay, I feel better about it. And then you do it again, and then it becomes normalized, and then you do it again, and now you're just comfortable saying no, or you're comfortable saying, I don't know that, or you're comfortable saying, not right now, but we can talk about that later. And in the vanilla world, like, it is so hard sometimes. And it takes a lot of practice, especially depending on your situation. So these kink spaces, like, they kind of like prep you and train you and empower you. 100%. Empower you to use your voice, empower you to explain what you really feel, empower you to feel aligned with what you think and what you say, and like how you react. And I think that's super, super valuable. And also, like, sometimes it happens that we don't really know our limits and our boundaries. And I think a lot of time in non-kink spaces, we cross those boundaries and limits, and that's how we know it was too much. In kink spaces, if you do that, that can be really dangerous to your physical, mental, and emotional health. And so you should be told, or you should be guided to have different types of communication tools and different types of cues and things like that before a boundary or a limit is crossed. And usually the conversations you have beforehand anyways, to even just avoid that altogether. And so you can really kind of explore things by doing baby steps versus just going 0 to 100, and now you probably don't like that thing. And so I think it's more about having a positive environment to explore your communication in.
I love that. Well, this was so informative. Thank you so much for being on. If people want to find you and your work, where can they do that?
They can pretty much find it everywhere.
Ooh.
So the best place to go, it would probably be on the website. So it's www.shibarimx.com. And on the website, you can look at the events page, see the calendar, or on the homepage, you can just enter information if you want to get the newsletter of events and what we're doing and just general things. If you want to go on social media, you can definitely like see pictures of the community space. You can see pictures of like my own personal work, and that's all depending because I've had many accounts taken down.
Oh, true.
That I can have many accounts taken down, but on Instagram, my personal is La Virgen Blue, and that's with 4 E's for every account. R.I.P. We're on number 4. So 4 E's, La Virgen Blue. In the community page, you can see what other people are working on in the workshops is Shibari Mexico Talleres. And any other website you can probably find us on. I mean, Patreon, there's online tutorials also on the website. And yeah, so basically those are the vanilla websites you can find us on. If you want the non-vanilla websites, you can look on the social media and click around.
Yeah, there we go. And I will link to all of this in the show notes too. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you to everyone for listening. I will see you on the next one. Ciao.